Welcome to this session. In this session, I am going to answer software testing interview question 315. That is, what is code-based testing? Let me answer. So what is code-based testing? Code-based testing is a method of software testing which tests the internal code and internal program structure of software. Okay. So here we are testing the code that is written for building or developing the application by developers. Developers generally build the application, right? For building the application, what developers will do? They will write the code. If you are testing such internal code of the software, which is written for building the software, and internal program structure of the software, which is written for building the software, then that testing is called as code based testing. Here we are not testing using the visual graphical user interface of the software. Rather, we are testing the software by testing the code and internal program structure of the software. Okay. Who can generally perform this kind of testing? Who has access to the code? Who can view the code? Developers. Hence, developers perform code based testing. Okay. Software testers won't perform code based testing. Developers who has access to the code, who can view the code, and who has actually written the code or written this internal program structure of the software will generally perform this code based testing. Okay, let me show you a diagram for code based testing, how it will be performed. So here guys, so as you can see here, there is a box here. This box is visible box. Okay, inside this box, whatever the code is there, that is visible to the developers. Okay, so developers will provide the test input, some test data they will provide for the program to run. While running the code, they'll provide some test data or test input, and they'll get some output. If the output is expected output, then they'll pass the test. Otherwise, they will fail the test. But here they are interacting with the code. Okay, they are accessing the code in order to perform this test. Developers can access the code, view the code, and test the code, guys. Okay, and this is called as code based testing, which is generally performed by developers. Okay, there are different names, several names for code based testing. So what are the several names or different names for the code based testing? Code based testing can also be called as white box testing, glass box testing, open box testing, structural testing, transparent box testing, clear box testing, and comprehensive testing. Several names for the code based testing. And if you talk about the different levels of software testing, there are four levels of software testing. That is unit testing, integration testing, system testing, and user acceptance testing. The first two levels, that is unit testing and integration testing levels of software testing, are generally done by developers, where while performing this unit testing and integration testing, developers have access to the code. They can view the code, they can test the code. Okay, that's why unit testing integration falls under the code based testing category. Okay, and the opposite of the code based testing, okay, where the internal code or internal program structure of the software is not accessible to the one who is testing the software, is nothing but black box testing. Here the testing will be done with the help of the visual functionality of the software, visual graphical user interface of the software, without looking into the internal code implementation. For example, if you are given this particular application, okay, can you see the code of the application anywhere? Only the functionality, visual graphical user interface of the software we can see as software testers, or as end users, or as client side business people who has business knowledge of how who knows the business user needs and expectation. Those kind of people generally are given this kind of application URL, and they will be using the graphical user interface for testing the software. They you see, while working with this software, internally the code will be running, but we cannot externally see the code. Okay, that kind of testing is called as black box testing, which is an opposite of the code based testing. As testing performed using the visual functionality of the software without looking into its internal code implementation is known as code based testing. Okay, so out of these four levels of software testing, the first two levels, as I mentioned, unit testing, integration testing, falls into the code based testing category, where developers will perform that. Okay, while having the access to the code, while they can view the code, while they can test the code. But other two levels of software testing, that is system testing and acceptance testing, are done by not developers. Okay, they doesn't fall into the code based testing, they fall into the black box testing category. System testing is done by the software testers, where they will test the entire application as a whole to see whether the given application is working according to the given requirements, client given requirements or not. At a high level, user needs and expectations also will be checked at a high level, but not at depth. But in user acceptance testing, okay, apart from it is satisfying the client requirements or not, they will also check in accept the user acceptance testing, whether the application is satisfying the user needs and expectations, or also will be given utmost focus. Okay, acceptance testing can again be broken down into alpha testing and beta testing. While alpha testing is done by the client side business team, okay, who has the business knowledge and who knows the user needs and expectations better than the software testers. Okay, they will be performing that. After that, beta testing will be performed, which is the second phase of the acceptance testing or user acceptance testing, where the software will be released into the market for testing purpose, for collecting the feedback from the real end users who generally use the software for their daily needs. Okay, so that they can get the real feedback from the real end users. Okay, so here only the release is done for testing purpose, not for usage purpose or selling purpose. Okay, so these two, system testing and acceptance testing, fall under the black box testing category, which is an opposite of the code based testing. So hope guys you understood what is code based testing in this session. So that's all for this session. In the next session, I'm going to answer another software testing interview question for you. Till then, see you. Bye bye.